of Uncensored Live is our unofficial working title. Uncensored Live. I'm determined to have a show with Uncensored in the title. If you go back and look at my YouTube playlist for the last 5 years, I've got Uncensored something about 6 or 7 different times with me doing
Clay, you're always uncensored. What do you mean?
Yeah. And you know what's funny is I actually thought today when I was at the radio station, like, we should probably just not cuss on this thing. It would just make things easier, especially if we look at potential sponsors and people maybe watching with their kids and stuff like that in the evening times. It would probably behoove us not to cuss. But sometimes just the well-placed F word just can't be replaced with anything else.
Yeah.
But with all that said, this is Uncensored Live. I am Clay Edwards of the Clay Edwards Show and Save Jackson. I don't want to say fame, but notoriety, whatever. And these are my good friends and co-host and co-workers. Shaun up there on the top, my left, and Lindsey Beckham up there on the right. You can determine which one's the guy, which one's the girl.
I don't know. Some liberals might not be able to determine that, Clay.
Yeah, you don't know.
Lindsey's pronoun is them.
Yeah.
Here we go. My pronouns are I told you so. Those are my pronouns.
Shaun, Lindsey Beckham of Crossing the Aisle on WYAB every Monday through Friday, noon to 1. And of course, I have the Clay Edwards Show, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. right there at the same station, 103.9 FM. Of course, we stream the mothership, the big stick. This is going to be much bigger as we go to 50,000 watts here soon. Stay tuned for that. Going from like 5,000 to 50,000, going to be quite the upgrade. Really, really excited about it over there. It's going to put us as close to being a statewide single stick signal. It won't be statewide, but it will be statewide east to west for sure. North to south, not so much. But hey, it doesn't. That's what the internet's for, right?
Yep.
So we're for streaming worldwide at whatever social media platform you're watching this on. You can follow me at SaveJXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, TikTok, all of those. You can follow them I'll let them tell you which social media platforms they prefer, but I prefer the at SaveJXN across all social media platforms, and also have at Clay Edwards Show on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, where it is exclusive reels from my radio show. So
is Instagram streaming? Did it work?
Oh, you know what? I got to hit the extra button here. No, I don't. Maybe it's because maybe it's something with Chrome. Instagram is weird. You have to, once you go live and restream, you have to go back to Instagram and hit the go live. And it is just not like the go live is just not working. So we, again, not streaming on Instagram. And I just refuse to stream on TikTok, even though we got almost 100,000 followers there, because our content would have my TikTok zapped before we rounded first base. So
they're real ticky there, I guess, right?
They are.
Ticky on TikTok.
I want to shout out to my buddy Jay. He had texted a few minutes ago asking where we're going live tonight, and I didn't get a chance to reply, but he did say, "Oh, I see it now." So yeah, we're about 8 minutes late, and I take full credit for that. I decided to work out, and it was really, really going good. It was shoulder day, as I'm sure y'all can tell. It was shoulder day, and man, I was just on a burner and didn't want to stop. And I was like, "Oh crap! I got 20 minutes to get a shower."
If you break down to it's time for the gun show, we're logging off. You
got to get some FAFO wife beaters.
Right.
That's what you need next.
On the new buyfafo.com website, there will in fact be an option for wife beaters on every design.
Look, I knew it.
Yeah, so
the clothing item, not the FAO.
Clothing item, not domestic violence. Yeah, look, man, I'm blessed to have a couple of really good merch guys in my life. Of course, Michael Applewhite out in Byram with Shirt Shop Graphics, and then Tony Young with Apex, and they both serve unique but different purposes. Michael's stuff is great when I need bulk and I'm going to go set up and sell somewhere. And Tony's setup over at Apex allows me, and you guys should look into it as well, to just do random print to order stuff. So if I come up with a design coming out of like a weekend where a meme goes viral, I mean, like Trump getting shot when he comes up with the fight, mm-hmm. To have had a shirt on sale Sunday or Monday would have made me a lot of money, because it sure made a lot of other people a lot of money.
Sure did.
But I didn't have the ability at the time.
I still want one that says, "Let me get my shoes." I want a shirt that says, "Let me get my shoes."
Absolutely. I mean, look, if that right there didn't prove he's the first black president, I don't know what does.
Let me ask you. So I just thought about this. Lindsay sent me some, I forget, it was off of maybe the Daily Wire or something one time. And it was it would go to the ads and they were sounding like, you can get yourself a Trump knife, or then you could get yourself like, a Trump camping bag or whatever it was, like all camping sort of gear. Do these people like pay royalty to Trump, the Trump organization, or are they just like freelancing? Because you'll see on Etsy and someone will take like a college team and they make like a Yeti cup out of it, but they're not actually paying the college.
They get cease and desist orders.
Right.
I don't know if is that the technical term for a copyright? Would it be a cease and desist?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's the right term for that too. Yeah, they would. Trump, I don't know, Shaun, because there's a public domain. I mean, you would know about this from being in the AG's fraud department.
Yeah, I worked in that a little bit.
There's a point where somebody and something is so famous that, and especially being a political figure, not just a public figure, but a political figure, I don't know if they own the rights to that name anymore. I mean, yes,
I have to look up the law on
trademark with the font and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just so much of it out there. I don't know that you can control it, but for a big company like, say, the Daily Wire to be doing it, you would have to think that he's getting some royalties on that. But
I guess you could make like a Trump T-shirt and sell it, and maybe it doesn't get royalties, because I mean, all presidents. I remember I went to
put an image on whatever.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can. I mean, it's not named
font and the Trump logo. I would think that you're going to run into some legal issues there. It'd be like me selling a Metallica shirt.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm just wondering how that works. I'm going to research that. I'm very curious about how that plays out. Because you could probably put a shirt with another president on, and you don't have to pay that. I mean, a living president and pay them royalties, I would think. I'm guessing. I don't know that though. Yeah, I just don't know the answer to that.
Hey, Shaun, before we get too far into all that, because I could talk about that all night.
Sure.
I have somebody over here, Valiant Thor. Oh, can we pull the comments on the screen?
Yep.
Valiant Thor on YouTube brought this up, and I don't know if you got this in the show prep or not, but Trump and them did do a great job of deflecting away from the negative attention on Epstein, and they have launched an investigation into Comey, Brennan, and Clapper. Have you seen this?
No, I have not.
I haven't seen that either.
All right, you got to remind me which one was the comment button again, Clay?
Sure. If you're on the bottom.
It's a chat right there. Yeah, I got it right there. Yeah, overlay. Sorry, guys. I'm becoming the new producer here, learning. So
yep, Shaun and I use the same, and Lindsay, we use the same program. It's called Restream, and I encourage everybody to start a podcast or a stream. Find your voice. I believe having a live stream, or we'll just call it a podcast for a lack of a better term, is the new social media.
Yeah,
this is the new MySpace. This is the new Facebook. I think having a voice is the new social media beyond just sending out a typed text or even making a video. I think being able to go live.
Y'all talked about that the other day when you were on with Shaun on our show, the book sales, even Audible. I mean, that's just kind of where it's at. People can listen on the go.
100%. I mean, it's all I listen to, man. I mean, yes, there's times where I do just want to listen to music. Absolutely. And it's usually Fridays. I don't know. It's like by the time I walk out of the radio station on Friday, I'm ready to listen to music and detox from politics and podcasts and all that stuff, unless something just overwhelming jumps out in front of me. But anyway, I just recommend everybody start a podcast. You won't regret it, but make sure it's something you're passionate about.
And our friend,
make sure you love it.
Now, to plug our buddy, Daniel Anderson, I saw him on a guy that's like my next door neighbor about 2 doors down was doing a podcast this afternoon. I noticed it popped on my feed, because he's a Facebook friend of mine. And I'm like, yeah, man, good for Daniel. Daniel's really put himself out there and really kind of built he's a go-to guy.
He's worked his butt
off. He really
off.
has. So great for him. I'm seeing, he seems to be the guy to go to for that locally.
Yeah, when I had him on the show a couple Mondays ago.
That was a great show, by the way. I told Shaun he needed to get back and listen. That was a great show with you and Daniel.
I appreciate that. I really did. It was last minute. He had texted me at like 5:00 that morning and said, hey, if you ever need somebody for the heavy hitter show, let me know. And I was like, well, conveniently enough, I did not book anybody today. I was just going to do 3 hours of me. And I said, can you be there at 9:00 this morning?
That's a lot. That's a lot of you, Clay. It's a lot.
3 hours is a lot. It's too much for me sometimes. But let's pull up. Let's take a look at this Clapper Comey stuff here real quick. Let me see if I can pull it up on Fox News because I think that it was the perfect deflect. And my dad's even a little mad at me. He sent me a text. So he appeared to be upset that I was kind of going after Trump and them a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And them, Trump and them.
Well,
Trump and them a little bit. So I got the story here, Shaun. I'm going to pull it up on the screen.
Gotcha.
Yeah, give me 1 second. It's coming in hot. Okay, it should be coming up. Okay, yeah, it's over there. If you'll pull it in, boom.
Yep, gotcha.
Easy breezy. Let me go over here. I'm not going to play any audio. It just says former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey are under criminal investigation for potential wrongdoing related to the Trump-Russia probe, including allegedly making false statements to Congress. Allegedly making false statements to Congress, Justice Department sources told Fox News Digital. CIA Director Ratcliffe referred evidence of wrongdoing by Brennan to FBI Director Kash Patel for potential prosecution, DOJ sources told Fox Digital. And this will be the last I read of it. It says the sources said the referral was received and told Fox News Digital that a criminal investigation into Brennan was open and is underway. DOJ sources declined to provide further details. It is unclear at this point if the investigation spans beyond his alleged false statements to Congress. And I'm just going to say this real quick. This is what I voted for. I want to see some type of healing and reconciliation from the Democrats and from I don't even know if you want to call them Democrats, the deep state, for the things that they've done. And even if they're not guilty, I'm fine with them being found not guilty, but just prove it. You know what I mean? I think the nation needs it. I don't like the ending to the Epstein stuff, just saying that it obviously nothing was there, but that's what they're saying. But I'll say this, at least they said something instead of just allowing it to continue to linger.
Is this coming out after today's cabinet meeting where he took so much heat for the way he answered some of these questions?
Yep.
Was this investigation already underway, or are they just kind of announcing it because they felt like they needed to do something, damage control?
I'm pretty sure it was already underway, but I think they decided to let the world know it was underway with damage control, for sure.
To your point about to your point about the deep state, I remember that John Brennan and James Comey had worked for several administrations. It just wasn't just Barack Obama and partly Trump's administration. Both of them had worked for George W. Bush as well. So this kind of goes into the deep state thought. These guys are institutionalists in the system for a very long time.
Yeah, I kind of caught myself after I said Democrats and was like, yeah, more so deep state. And like I say, do an investigation, whatever comes of it. Obviously, they don't give a damn what Clay Edwards thinks, but I will at least have something to live with. I mean, I don't like the way the Epstein thing ended, but I will say after 24, 48 hours to think about it, I'm glad they said something. I don't like it, but at least it's like this is over to us.
Mm-hmm.
But Clay, we talked about this on the show today, on our show. Do you think that maybe once these people who are now in office got in there and saw some of the things for themselves, maybe there was some things that they couldn't tell us? I mean, I don't really know what that could be. I mean, maybe it was something to do with Israel, or maybe things that would make it unsafe for them to speak about it.
I mean, possibly. I think we all agree that their answer is a cover-up of some sort. I mean, Shaun, are you on that page?
Yeah, I was actually just listening to Tucker's latest drop with Sager, and who's part of Breaking Points, the conservative on Breaking, the Indian guy. They really have a great breakdown of, and not in a way that I hadn't heard it before. So I suggest everybody wants to get some really good backstory on Epstein. That someone who's not is in the weeds of it, I really learned a lot from it. And what Sager was saying is that this really is, just bigger than just sex trafficking. Like that's kind of the glamour, catch people in sex trafficking, young people, that kind of thing. But what Epstein's roles go back much further into extensive money laundering with this guy, the Lex Wagner. The Lex Wagner Group is one of the richest guys in America, and their ties to Israel, as well as Ghislaine, whatever you're saying, Maxwell's father was apparently an apparent Mossad agent too. Mm-hmm. So they were what Sager was saying and Tucker are talking about is that Epstein was funneling or laundering money for the American intelligence agencies as well as Israeli intelligence agencies. And that's the meat of this whole thing. And it kind of harkened to when you remember that Florida case he got out of so easily. He just got out of these things that don't make any sense. so easily. So I'm really buying into this whole it's really got me like, I've never been hooked to this thing now, but I'm really getting hooked to it.
He's a conspiracy
theorist.
theorist.
It's just the way it, it's just the way that this has gone down has been so fascinating to me. And now listening to all this, but I think they're making a strong case for the intelligence angle to this, and it explains a lot. If he was an intelligence agent, it really explains a lot.
It would make a lot more sense. Or he's not an intelligence agent. He's an intelligence asset.
Yeah, excuse me, asset. Right.
I think that works better for me. I don't want to think we got a pedophile as an agent.
Well, as Sager was saying, the operation of the CIA depends a lot on dark money and laundered money, because they're not getting appropriations for their projects that are directed right from Congress. So they have to come up with money other ways. And that they've done that historically. You look at the Iran-Contra affair and all those kinds of things. And in Vietnam, they were, I think, smuggling opium to Laos and Cambodia. They've done a lot of this money-making enterprises to fund whatever covert operations that are off the books. And that was kind of the implication that Epstein was kind of the point man on a lot of that, especially when it came to the Middle East.
100%.
I thought that was
I got a little clip here. If we can just play like the first 2 or 3 minutes of this. This is a YouTuber that I've really gotten into lately. Some of y'all may have heard of him. Some of y'all may have not. It's Asmongold. I think that's what he goes by.
Are you cheating on Salty Cracker?
Asmongold?
Asmongold. Oh, I love Salty Cracker. Y'all know. But this guy was doing a live stream. So just for the context, he is reading some comments. So if you're not watching the screen and you wonder why he's bouncing around, he's reading some comments. Mm-hmm. But he makes a couple really good points here, and it'll be easier just to let y'all hear him say it than me try to regurgitate it. But Shaun, I'll just stop sharing when I'm done. If you can pull it up on the screen there.
I just did, yeah.
Got it, okay. Go. I was off of it. Let me hit play real quick.
For the Epstein stuff, and this is Trump talking about it. I guess this is from today.
Sure. Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary who was Miami U.S. Attorney, Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
That sounds like he's guilty. I'm just going to say it. Somebody's got to say it. It sounds like he's guilty. Like, that's what I would say if I was guilty. What is this?
We were going to play this clip anyway, so I just figured kill two birds with one
stone.
stone.
It's great. I had it ready too, so I'm glad you got it.
So anyway, it's a bad look. It's definitely a bad look. It looks really, really, really bad. And so anyway, L take from Trump. It is Trump. Yeah, look. Let me see.
That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
Absolutely. By the way, this is the answer. Absolutely, we want to waste the time on this.
Agreed.
100%. The idea that numbers of heads of state and then powerful and influential people were involved in a cover-up that involved, non-consensual forced sex, rape with young and underage girls. Abso-fucking-lutely, that is it.
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Well, did she answer? Wait a minute. She did. Wait. I paused. Yeah, there's a longer one. Yeah, I want to see this right here.
All right, so I think that's all we got to do. But this guy, and I played this not just to steal content, but I played it because this guy is as hardcore of a Trump dude that there is on as far as in the streaming sphere. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not, I wouldn't call him like a MAGA nut swinger type, but he's a dude that is always defending the right and Trump and calling out the left. And He absolutely said what I think a lot of us are thinking.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Absolutely. We got time to waste. Let's waste the time asking this question. I think America deserves an answer. And the more I had not got to listen to that yet. Lindsey, you had texted me, or we group text as I was getting at core earlier, and I had not gotten to that point of it yet. So me hearing that clip was the first time I'd seen it with his reaction. And I was like, gosh, get out of my head. You're still in my reaction.
Trump's reaction makes it seem as though there's something that's being hidden. Coming off so aggressive and so defensive. You campaigned on this, and your voters are looking for answers here. And you knew this, you had to know this was going to come up in the first cabinet meeting since it's been said that there was no list.
Well, I don't know that Trump actually campaigned on this. I think just my personal recollection of that. I don't think it was actually anything he campaigned on, but the people he put in place,
right?
They beat this drum. Patel and Bongino. I had to be honest. I'd never heard of Pam Bondi until she got nominated to be AG. Just to be completely, honest there.
She was very mid 2000 teens Republican, kind of before the Trump thing. She was famous.
Yeah, and I know she was Florida AG and whatnot. And then I like her well enough, but I know we beat this up last night, but she looks terrible in this whole thing. But I will say her answer, she did try to explain the whole situation with her lame ass explanation for why she said she had the list on her desk. She said, I wasn't saying the list. I was saying I had the files to look into along with the MLK and JFK files. And she said the only thing she could say. She did
explain the minute that was missing. She did attempt to explain that anyway, and then said that she was going to release more video footage that showed that same minute is missing every single night, I guess, as the cameras or the system reboots or something along those lines. But it does seem very suspicious that there's a minute clipped out that's missing in this video.
Well, she said that happens apparently every night along in that time frame. That happened every night. I tell you what, let me just pull it back. Do y'all mind if we play a little bit more?
Yeah, let's go, dude. Yeah, it's good. That's good stuff.
I think that so everybody has full context here. Let me pull it back up. It's still sitting at that place, that same spot. You got it. Just tell me when.
Yeah. Sorry. All right.
Okay, here we go.
We have Texas. We have tragedy with what happened.
Okay, here we go.
Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said,
you had the files on your desk. You had the list on your desk. You had the files on your desk. That's why it's getting attention, because you said you had it. That's the reason. What happened?
I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed.
That's
meaning
correct.
The file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein.
Hold on. And here's a great point that he makes right here, and I didn't even think about it. So I'm glad we're playing his video here.
In the video, though, was it identifiable people? Well, wait a minute. No, yeah. So if he's got all of these videos, who was in the videos?
Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released. Never going to see.
That's not the point. People get arrested for this all the time, and then actual police and investigators make sure and they confirm it's the person that they're convicting, and they do this all the time. This is bullshit.
Light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but
well, it's not going to be conclusive when the minute is missing. Yeah, I mean, it's what is this?
Evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide, and what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter, and what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999.
Yeah.
So every night the video is reset.
Yeah.
And every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
So,
Guys,
that is a terrible explanation for why a minute is missing, by the way. I mean, does that, am I the only one that's like, what?
No, because if you did want to kill someone in jail, then you just wait to that minute. And that's when you do it.
I want to say something. I am still 100% behind Trump here. It ain't like I'm like regretting my vote by any stretch of the imagination, but they're still not above criticism and us calling this out and demanding a much better explanation.
Transparency.
Transparency, and letting this administration and any other administration moving forward know that if we'll hold Trump's feet to the fire, we're going to hold anybody else's to the fire. This isn't acceptable.
Transparency breeds trust. I mean, that's just a fact.
Of all people, I listened to a clip from Alex Jones today, and I'm obviously not a fan of his, but
you did?
Yeah, but he actually made some good points, and I think what the general sentiment that I'm gathering from people is that they felt that Trump was elected to expose the deep state, not to cover up for them. And that's why people are so upset right now. That's kind of what Alex Jones was saying. So
I couldn't agree more. My friend Sonny Evans is in the comments here watching on YouTube, and Sonny's worked in the federal prison system for years as a paramedic. And he says right here, should be at the top of the screen from everybody looking at it. It says, she is lying. I worked many years in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, including the most recent, including most of, unfortunately it's cut off there. I can't read it all.
But actually, Sonny's comment, I did double check that because I couldn't remember when she was Attorney General. She was actually Attorney General of Florida after the Epstein case. Epstein case was between 2006 and 2008. I just looked that up. I didn't know it by heart or anything. But so this reminded me of something that Tucker and Sager were saying. So Alexander Acosta was the U.S. attorney who approved Epstein's controversial non-prosecution agreement in that case. Mm-hmm. And he later became Trump's Secretary of Labor. The issue they were talking about, Acosta apparently said something during his vetting process for Secretary of Labor for Trump, where he said, I was told Epstein belonged to the intelligence services and to leave it alone while he was U.S. attorney. Wow. So that's what that's the statement he had made. And they were referencing that on Tucker's show. And that's in that, and Sonny's comment decided to look up the timeline between Bondi and Bondi was a state attorney general. She wasn't a federal prosecutor, and this was apparently a federal case. I didn't even know whether it was a federal state case, but apparently it was a federal case that Alexander Acosta, as the U.S. attorney, did handle and made that sweetheart deal that let Epstein go, which makes sense with his statement saying, I was told he was an intelligence agent and I was told to let it go or leave it alone. So,
well, you said something earlier today, Shaun, that he was 3 days away from having a hearing. Bond hearing. I mean, that just is crazy to me.
So on August the 9th of 2019 is when he committed suicide. But there was a lot of interviews with his brother. I think Cenk Ugar's interviewed his brother. So is Tucker. And he said the same thing, that he had a bond hearing set for August the 12th. And that there was a very good chance that he had the money to post whatever bond, obviously, and that he could have, gone home with the ankle monitor and all that kind of stuff. So his brother was like, why would he have killed himself 3 days before he possibly was going to the house before this thing was all settled? It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to him. And when you think about it, like, why would you? You might as well go home and kill yourself instead of in the jail, right? A lot easier to do it in your home.
Was that the interview he did with Tucker, you said?
He did it with Tucker and Jake. He did two different ones, yeah.
The last year.
Yeah, that's right. Good, yeah, to both of them. So he had that bond hearing, and they said that, he had that chance to go home, and he could have just gone home. And I mean, heck, if I was going to kill myself anyway, I'd probably go home and chill out till the last possible moment that I had to do it, right? If you think you're going to jail for the rest of your life. Yeah. So at least you can get to the house.
Absolutely. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I wasn't happy with it, but with the whole answer, with any of it, but what do you do? But so circling back, the follow up to this fallout today is them leaking or releasing that they've launched an investigation, a criminal investigation into Brennan and Comey, which I find. See, this is what I voted for. Can we have more of this? Again, I'll circle back and say it. I don't care. Well, I care. I don't want it to be any bullshit. But if they're found not guilty through a proper investigation, and we show that we can actually trust our intelligence agencies. Okay, cool. But and I know this is about, I think they didn't specify, but this is about one of them lying to Congress or whatever. But still, I think it's just accountability.
Well, the thing is, and I think what they're referencing is Brennan specifically made many statements essentially saying there was a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russians, which did not exist. It came out, obviously. And I think there were specific statements that he made to that effect that were like kind of almost definitive. And that's what they're saying he's lying to Congress for, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Y'all get any more thoughts on that?
Yeah,
it's kind of hot here. You know, we don't have a whole lot of information about it, but
no, not on that one. I don't. It's brand new. But the it's, and you know, I think just harking back to the Epstein thing. I don't know. This will go away eventually, but I think it's going to hang out. This is something I haven't seen. Yeah, you never see Trump's base get mad at him. So I'm wondering. I got a few questions. How long does that last? And do they forgive him? I think they probably will. Does somebody's head have to roll? I know we discussed that a little bit last night, but it seems to me you have to have a sacrificial lamb in this situation. Most likely,
we had one with Signal. There was
Mike Waltz. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think you have to have a sacrificial lamb. Pam Bondi seems like the most likely. I think Dan Bongino, from what I've listened to different MAGA podcasts, that they're kind of letting him off the hook. They feel like they feel like he's being forced to say this, you know, because he was kind of the true believer of all the Epstein stuff.
Well, what about Patel, who has been out there advocating?
Patel's getting hung out to dry too. Bondi and Patel, that's why I think they're the most. Either one of them is likely to get the axe. I don't think Bongino is going to get it, but I think one of them would. That's from all I can gather.
Is it easier to replace the Attorney General or the head of the FBI?
Well,
logistically.
I mean, the same process.
Fire the head of the FBI, because that's a 10-year appointment, right? You can't just fire him. So I think if you're Trump, it's easier to fire legally, the head of the AG, right?
I think it would be crazy if he really did try to bring back in Matt Gaetz. I mean, I don't know if that could even happen, but
I mean, he's absolutely. I think they talked about at one point Ron DeSantis.
You fire.
You can fire the AG.
Fire the AG, and then you can put in you don't have to have, you put in a temporary or whatever. You don't have to have Senate approval, congressional approval.
How funny if Matt Gaetz ended up in that position.
I don't think it's going to be. I've heard that they were talking about Ron, your favorite guy, Ron DeSantis, at one point.
A heart DeSantis.
And I mean, I think that's a good pick. I don't see how that, I think DeSantis would be he's an experienced lawyer.
Right now he's training the alligators though.
Yeah. But I mean, I think so. That's what I think you would, you might see that. I don't think you're going to see a Matt Gaetz. I have a feeling that Matt Gaetz is not going to be in that role.
Well, that would be interesting because, he's still on the outs with a lot of MAGA people. Mm-hmm. Trump bringing him into the administration, that would also be very interesting. And I'm just looking, this is the part I like, is the speculation. That would be interesting to see how does JD Vance feel about DeSantis coming into the administration.
Good point.
Well, not only that, but you also have to think about Byron Donalds, who is running for governor of Florida. And then it's very widely rumored that Casey DeSantis will run as well. And then Byron is one of, Trump's people.
Yeah, I love Byron Donald.
Well, and his wife Erica is on our board, and she's amazing.
Awesome.
I think, you can, so the president, just to backtrack, the president can fire the attorney general and the FBI director. They're able to do that. And they're both confirmed by, so it'd be the same Senate kind of confirmation process that they would go through.
Well, he did fire Comey. I mean, so yes, he can, but I mean, technically they're not supposed to do it.
Right. Yeah. It's not, it's uncouth kind of thing. Like that's why because the thought process is that the FBI is supposed to be above reproach in terms of like not supposed to be coordinating with the president, any party, like whoever who appointed them. So it's supposed to be independent Justice Department. That's why they have that. You're right, 10-year appointments to make it like that. So yeah, he's not supposed to do it, but he does. He can do it if he wants to. But so that I guess leans you to the idea that Pam Bondi might be the most likely to go in this scenario.
But I will say this: after watching that round table today, it feels like Trump has her back. I mean,
a little bit.
Like, he definitely seemed like anybody under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, he wasn't even going to make her answer it, and she stepped up and said, "Hey, I'll answer this."
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't feel like anything's going to be done. It's like this is what we're doing. On to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends on the kind of heat, if he can, I mean, it may just look, we live in these fast news cycles. Does MAGA get over this in the next 48 hours? I don't know.
Or does something
you guys can answer that better than I can.
Or does something big happen to take the focus off of it?
Well, that's kind of what I suggested last night. I think something, this is something that Trump is really, or his administration, Trump is really, really good at. And of all people, Polo taught me this a couple of years ago before he killed the guy.
He took a lot of people's minds off things with that.
He taught me one thing that's been a very valuable tool for me on social media. And I recommend everybody this, especially if you post controversial, incendiary, polarizing content. You get one thing that's got people pissed off and angry. Man, hit them 7 or 8 more times back to back to back with more stuff. And it's just like people forget about that one thing they're mad about and they've moved their rage onto the next thing or their joy or whatever. And I think that Trump is really good at keeping you on your feet and not giving you too long to marinate on one thing. It's like, oh, the people are mad at me. Let me remind them what they voted for.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. And he's done a great job with that this year. You've seen that through so many different things. But the only difference I find here is that, because that's usually when the left is mad at him, and he knows how to navigate that pretty well. This is the first time I've ever seen MAGA collectively angry at him like they are now. So does that change, you think, maybe based on, because that's what you're seeing?
I think they've underestimated how big, and further on into that video, there's like 15 minutes. We ain't going to bog people down. I'll share the link. But further on in that video, they brought this up. They said, man, this is as far as like in the public, in the water cooler talk, Epstein is a top 5 story. On the internet, it's a top 2 or 3 story. And I don't just mean over the last couple of days. I mean, in the ecosphere of the internet, the Epstein stuff is top 2, top 3 in political stories. It's right there with the 2020 theft of the election and J6 and all of those things. It's a massive, massive story.
Well, there was a woman who died of what they called a suicide back in April. She was one of the victims. She was one of Epstein's victims. And she very clearly came out and said, if I ever die and they call it a suicide, that's not accurate. I will never commit suicide. She had 3 kids. She was 41 years old. And that just happened to me recently. So I just feel like there's so much more to this story that we just don't know.
Yeah, I do too. I agree with Lindsey. I think, and just as much as, I recently got into it so deeply, like it seems like there's just tentacles to this thing that is now it's kind of, it's always been like, it's been a theory on the right. And now you've got, it kind of seems like it's on the forefront of all media now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like this accepted thing where everybody is saying, we think there's something wrong here, whatever occurred, whatever theory you've got, instead of saying, no one is saying, we think there wasn't a list and Epstein didn't really do anything. I don't see if there is, it's a very small group that's shucking that.
Sonny Evans just said, Lindsey, she got hit by a bus.
They called it a suicide.
Oh, did she run in front of the bus? I guess she jumped in front of it. Maybe she jumped in front of the bus.
I mean, I think he's being a little facetious.
Okay,
yeah, right.
Okay. Sorry.
Got hit by a bus. That's right.
Sorry.
Look at us being slow. Sonny's right. He's right.
And maybe I'm reading it wrong, but
no, he's probably he's being funny. That's good.
She recovered, then supposedly committed suicide. That's right. I forgot about that story.
She did. She did get injured. She was hurt, and then went through a lot of medical treatments and then supposedly allegedly committed suicide, but she had said that would never happen, and if anyone was ever told that she had done that it was a lie. She was afraid of these people. I mean, she made it very clear. She spoke out. She was afraid of them.
I want to go back to the hit by the bus. How did that happen? How did she get hit by the bus?
I don't know that whole story. I'll have to look that up.
Look that up. I mean, now I will say it's easy if you live in a bigger city and you walk around and you're playing on your phone, it's easy to step right out in the middle of a street and get clipped by a bus or any other vehicle for that matter. So
yeah.
But John O'Keefe did not get hit by a car, and a car did not hit John O'Keefe, by the way. Just FYI.
And Epstein didn't kill himself.
No,
I mean,
he was Hillaried. He was Hillaried.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing though. Is Hillary Clinton exonerated from this yet, or no? Is she still a suspect? I mean, I'm just wondering.
I saw a video. The missing minute is Hillary actually.
Hillary.
It's totally Hillary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally, as Democrats like to say, Hillary.
She's still not off the hook. She's at home drinking her Chardonnay. Like, God bless it. I thought I was going to be home free on this one.
Well, look, I want to pivot to something else real quick.
Yep.
We can circle back. I know you did a bunch of prep for us, Shaun.
No, that's about that with that. I got some clips that we can talk about later about Trump talking about Putin, which I thought were pretty cool.
All right. So last night, towards the end of the show, I brought up the cloud seeding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that story has caught fire today. Both sides. I mean, it's people coming out talking about it. The people that did it released a statement. You got a lot of very well-respected weather people coming out and discussing it. And I shared a couple of these posts onto my Facebook page, just mainly so I could go back and find them, because I suck at going and finding my favorites or saved stuff on Facebook. But let's see here. I shared it on my personal page of all things. Now, this is really, really long. I'm not going to what am I trying to say? I'm not going to try to read this because it's a mile long, but I did want to pull this image up and read about a paragraph of this, because this is somebody suggesting that cloud seeding does not work like that it cannot cause that. And there's several other well-respected meteorologists coming out trying to explain this. And of course, me just being contrarian, I'm like, we don't believe it.
Right.
Let me hit share on this real quick.
Because the chemtrails.
Yeah, like I do believe that chemtrails are sort of a thing, but I don't think every plane flying around is dumping chemtrails on us. I don't understand. Everybody would have to be in on that. Everybody. And I know we can get into the moon landing thing. Similar.
Let's skip that tonight.
Don't y'all know that? Don't y'all understand by now the government lies?
You know what? If there's ever going to be a time to convince me that you're right, this is probably it.
Yeah.
This is from Travis Herzog with ABC 13. He's got a bunch of followers. He must be a legitimate meteorologist. But here's the image of that storm.
Okay.
So you can kind of see just how big of a storm that was. And I don't think that cloud seeding caused a storm of this size based on the amount of seeding they did. But I just want to read like the first paragraph here. And he's like, look, he said, we're all hurting over here in Texas after these floods. Children are still among the missing. The death toll is now over 100. We're in various stages of grief, still trying to make sense of all this. And he said, so why am I bringing up cloud seeding? Because I've seen the same viral videos and posts you have seen claiming that cloud seeding is responsible for the floods in the Texas Hill Country. And it's inserting confusion and questions into a grieving community that really needs to be focused on other things at this time. Scientific voices in the meteorology community are needed right now to help put these claims to rest. So I will again lend my voice to help answer some of these questions and hopefully clear this up. So maybe I'll read more of this than I planned. What is cloud seeding? Cloud seeding is a type of weather modification that involves injecting a few grams of a chemical, usually silver iodide, into an existing cloud, seed the formation of larger water droplets or ice crystals that will then cause the cloud to precipitate slightly more than it would have if left alone. We've been doing this in America since the 40s, and the physics behind it is pretty simple. I don't really want to get into it. I don't want to get into how it works.
They do it, I guess, for droughts. They need to help in areas that have droughts and need rain.
And they're fixing to build some AI facilities over there. And, it takes a lot of water to make these things work. Right. It says, what is the purpose of cloud seeding operations? Generally, these are designed to help enhance rainfall or snowpack in a arid region of the country that do not have dependable rainfall. Is cloud seeding regulated? Yes, there are both federal and state regulations. It is not done in secret. You can read about it, blah, blah, blah. Were cloud seeding operations conducted on the storm that produced the Texas flood? No. In fact, Texas regulations prohibit cloud seeding on storms that could produce severe weather, tornadoes, or flash floods. One of the companies singled out on social media for cloud seeding conducted its last operation on Wednesday, July 2nd. The cloud seeding conducted 2 days before the floods have created or impacted the storms on July 4th? No. Only an existing cloud can be seeded, and once that cloud has been seeded, it rains itself out. Furthermore, the cloud seeding that took place in southeast of San Antonio, roughly 150 miles away from Kerr County. And then it says, does cloud seeding create stronger superstorms or lead to less rainfall elsewhere. The science and observations say no, and I won't read the rest. But look, I mean, I don't know. This is just a guy on the internet saying these things, but he is a legitimate meteorologist at a news station, and he's trying to lay out how, yes, it's in times of tragedy like this, it's easy to want to find something to blame, someone to blame, and all that. And I completely understand that. It really is. And as a proud conspiracy theorist, a lot of times I'm easy to fall into that category where it's like, this just, as a Christian, it's hard to believe that God would allow this to happen, right?
Yeah.
Evil forces had to be at play. And I said it last night, and I'll say it again tonight. Sometimes we have this false sense of security that we have tamed Mother Nature, and we have not. And I know Shaun read or Lindsey, one of y'all read how much, I think it was Lindsey, read how much rain had dumped in a short amount of time. And that storm, one of y'all had mentioned it, and
double what they thought it was going to be, right?
But, I will say this: they did introduce legislation this past session in Texas that would prohibit weather climate modification or cloud seeding. And so it's kind of strange. I mean, this bill would prohibit entities from Texas from engaging in geoengineering, weather modification, and cloud seeding operations. It did not pass, but I wonder. It's funny that there are states that are seeking legislation like that.
Yeah. Somebody just said that we can only see, sorry, I'm bouncing around a little bit here. For some reason, only YouTube comments are coming up. Yeah. Angela, I don't know what's going on there. I noticed that now that you're saying it. Well, see, yeah, Facebook comments stopped a while back. Yeah. So just to address it.
Let me see if I can, let me restart it right there. Let me see. Maybe that can, sometimes it gets buggy. That's what I've learned about Restream. You never know.
Yeah, so let some comments cycle their way through. So just want to acknowledge that we're not seeing them on our screen. Obviously, we see the same thing y'all see.
Well, I see.
That was back.
That's further back. Yeah. It's just YouTube right now. That's all I'm saying.
So, well, as life goes, leave a super chat.
Restream. It gets buggy sometimes. I've noticed that about it too. When you're scheduling something, sometimes it'll just stop and not do it. It's just one of the.
But what I can do is I can go over to my Facebook and look at the comments just like everybody else and see what they're doing. I got it paused there, not paused, but muted, so I can kind of look at people's chats. But yeah, so anyway, I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there because we addressed it last night, and it's been taken over the internet today with both sides coming out. And there's another meteorologist that I really do like a whole lot. I don't know if he's a legit meteorologist, but he's a guy that does a weather channel on YouTube, Ryan Hall. And I think he does as good of weather as anybody when there's tornadoes and stuff coming through. Even I listen to him over a lot of our local stuff until it gets like into Brandon. And then I listen to the local stuff.
Yeah,
they understand what street I'm on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as like covering it, I think he has the best coverage. And he came out just trying to, pun intended here, throw some cold water. And I don't know. These are guys that I trust. So I've decided for now to go with the cloud seeding had nothing to do with this. That it was just Mother Nature.
Well, I mean, y'all know, both of you know, I'm the biggest conspiracy theorist on earth. I'm so proud that you quoted Alex Jones, Shaun, and then I heard Clay say that today would be the day I could convince him the moon landing was faked. But I even find it difficult to believe that the government could possibly cause something like this to happen.
Yeah.
That just seems a little far-fetched to me. And I'm one that will believe it all.
Sure. Well, I think the other thing you have to look at too is like, what would be the point?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. What's the point? What were they trying to accomplish?
To make those crazy liberal women happy? I don't know.
Well, that or I know what somebody will say, well, that land is going to be very valuable when Amazon or when the Saudis, that's it. The Saudis are building AI facilities over there, cloud facilities.
Qatar, that's the new one that Tucker is saying he's fun. He's jokingly like, it's Qatar's doing everything.
Those hill country rednecks won't sell their farmland, so we just flood them out like they did in. Now I do believe it happened in Maui, and they burned them out of there. Those middle class families.
That's believable. That is believable.
But I don't think that's what happened in Texas. Shaun Delancey asked on Facebook about 40 minutes ago, what is the name of this show? Uncensored.
We don't know yet.
Uncensored Live.
Have a name. It's three friends raising hell, talking about the news.
Yeah.
So that's the best answer I got. So
we decided just to roll with it, and then we'd come up with it. But I like uncensored. It's fine with me.
Uncensored times 3.
There is one. So, on a lighter note, I thought this was funny, y'all. Everybody, I'm sure most people fly. We all fly. Clay and I just got busted for making a joke about ripping the Chokwe Lumumba letters. I told
you not to do that, and you didn't listen.
Where people actually believed that Clay and I'd gone down there and removed the letters, and it became a big thing. And it's amazing what, if you put something on the internet, what people will believe. But we did not do that, just so you know. I wish we did, but we didn't do it. But now, though,
They really wanted to.
TSA is now, you don't got to take off your shoes anymore. Now, I don't know. I'm happy about that because I fly a lot.
I don't think I am.
You're not happy about that?
No, because I think whatever they've been doing is working. We haven't had anything like September 11th, and there haven't been any like major terrorist type events in airports. So it's working. Why would you change it?
I think technology has evolved enough that they don't have to get you to take your shoes off to see if there's something there. Is my guess.
That's what they're saying, right? That's what the technology is.
Shaun, you don't like it because you wear these cowboy boots and it takes you forever to take them off and put them back on, where I can just like slip my shoes on and off real fast.
Does anybody really like taking their shoes off at the airport? I don't think anybody really likes it. Here's the...
It doesn't bother me.
The TSA is doing away with one of air travelers' least favorite security policies, removing your shoes. The airports on your screen that you see there have already dropped the requirements for travelers, which will be phased out nationwide over time. Travelers at both LaGuardia and LAX were also seen breezing through security lines with shoes on today. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve said this was a long time coming.
Already, if you were a pre-check flyer, you weren't taking your shoes off. And at peak times when they would bring a dog through the line, people weren't taking their shoes off, even in general security. And there's been an argument for a while that the body scanner technology that people go through in general security is sufficient enough to detect threats. TSA is also developing additional scanners that are even better at sensing it.
The rule was put in place in 2006 after a terrorist tried to detonate an explosive. It was hidden in his shoes on a flight from Paris to Miami.
Now, didn't they beat that terrorist's ass, I think, in that? I thought that's what happened. Do you remember that, Clay? When that went down? That was like 2000. It was right after 9/11, 2000. No, they started implementing 2006. The guy was like 2002-ish. It was right after 9/11. I can't remember exactly the year, but I think all the passengers, like after 9/11, they were like, yeah, not again. No. And they all jumped him from my recollection of that.
That's right. That's right. They did. Yep.
Yeah. They were just like, we ain't doing this again. So I think they beat him up pretty good too. He was messed up, like the photograph, like he was messed up, which they should have been. Screw him.
Yeah, it looked like it.
Yeah, there was the
shoes don't bother me.
They're like, terrorists, you are never going to fool us again on this one. Like, I'm just going to take the plane and everything's be fine. Yeah, no, we're kicking. Heck, actually, I've noticed in the 24 years since 9/11, the anytime like somebody like breathes funny on an airplane, like everybody jumps them. Now it's like, no, wait, no, we ain't dealing with it. Like you see that a lot.
So shifting gears a little bit, There's another story that's been kind of percolating a little bit that I missed until today, honestly, and that is the leftist that tried to lure ICE agents out of a building and start shooting them. Have y'all seen this?
I haven't seen it.
It sounds. Maybe I saw something about it.
I shared it to my personal Facebook. I'm flipping back over, and this is from Fox News. I mean, I hate referencing Fox like they're just 100% all real news all the time, but this is credible here. So here it is.
We have Shaun referencing Alex Jones. You're good.
Yeah.
It says, and these are the faces of the 10 people charged in a planned ambush on an ICE facility in Texas with the intent to kill ICE corrections officers. Let's see here. Click on it. Usually they're linked. There's a link. That's the first story in these things that these news articles, these news people share nowadays, because Facebook doesn't like you sharing the link in the main.
Right. They have to put it in the comments.
First comment there, or nobody will ever see the damn thing. But so it happened in Texas here. Let me see if I can.
Lots of stuff going on in Texas.
Yeah, somebody actually sent me a text about that about 10 minutes. I didn't read all of it, but I think that's right.
Sorry, I'm searching on X here. I just knew that there'd be a link there. I would have already had it ready before I opened my mouth. All right, here is I'm going to pull this up for us to see, because I want to discuss this for a second, if y'all don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because all I can think about is, where's the outrage from these folks that screamed about insurrection and all. Can you pull it up?
My bad. No. I just hit the wrong thing. That was my bad. You're good.
I got to have to toggle back and forth, so I just can't see the screen when I'm at it on the other screen looking for the thing to play. As soon as you're ready, I'm ready.
No. You go ahead. Oh, okay. You got it. Yeah. Okay. You got it on yours. Okay. I was looking at mine. Yeah. Go ahead.
Here we go. Let me hit play.
Welcome back. So there has been a series of really disturbing attacks against immigration officers lately. Some of them described by officials as, quote, planned ambushes. According to DHS, assaults on immigration enforcement officers are up almost 700% when compared to the same time last year. For more on this, we are joined by Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt, live with more. Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, Bill, let's get first to the ambush in Alvarado, Texas, which appears to be the most coordinated of all the recent attacks on ICE and Border Patrol agents and facilities. That attack began with at least 10 people, all dressed in what investigators describe as black military-style clothing, shooting fireworks at the Prairie Detention Center. Around 10 minutes later, one or two of them broke off from the main group and began spray painting the facility and vehicles parked there with words like traitor and other slogans. A police officer arrived responding to a 911 call, and at that point, one of the group, who had apparently hidden in trees near the facility, opened fire, hitting the officer in the neck, while another attacker, also across the street, fired dozens of rounds at officers from the facility.
It was a planned ambush with the intent to kill ICE corrections officers. Make no mistake, this was not a so-called peaceful protest. It was indeed an ambush.
10 people have now been charged with attempted murder, as well as weapons and body armor. Police also discovered.
All right, I want to look at these people. Andy,
I was trying to look up close at them.
Andy Frisella calls these people the unfortunates. Not these people, but all these people that protest. All the liberal protesters across the country. He's got they're ugly, unattractive, just unfortunate looking people. And you know what's missing here? Not missing, but conspicuous by its absence, anybody black or brown. It is, and that's a good thing. I'm glad, because it's always these white, stinking ass liberals that are so violent, and they're out here doing all this nonsense. I mean, do you know how hard it is to find one person to commit a crime with? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, I assume it's kind of.
Tell us, Clay. How is it?
It's got to be difficult to find somebody to talk one person into doing something this fucking stupid.
And they're always peacefully protesting, right? Peacefully. 10
people somehow or another got on the same page to pull this shit off. I know I said I'm going to cuss tonight, but here I am. Yeah. I'm outraged by the stupidity of it. 10 people were able to get this far along to pull this off, or to come this close to pulling it off, but just their stupidity, they couldn't quite, pull it. Their underestimation of the cop's ability to introduce into what fuck around and find out means.
That's Trump derangement syndrome to the max.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the only people any of these people could possibly procreate with would be one another.
Let's hope they don't do that, though.
I mean, we don't need any more of them.
In the bottom right-hand corner. I guess maybe he's brown.
Yeah. Oh,
he's got a little brown in him. But I mean, either way, who are these people, and why do they hate America so bad? It's like, you're right, Lindsey. It is. It's Trump derangement syndrome. I still blame the media at the end of the day on this, and these far-left politicians. I blame them on this by convincing people that
threat to democracy. They have drilled it into
literal Nazis. Literal Nazis. These are literal Nazis. Could you imagine if the right did this? Could you imagine the way the news would be handling it? Because I bet you this story does not exist on any left-wing sites.
Well, Shaun believes the right did do this on January 6th. That's what he believes.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to go down a January 6th rabbit hole right now, but
they haven't let us forget it.
I will say this about the just take outside the Trump derangement syndrome. These people are crazy. We all agree they're nuts. They should go to jail forever. I'm happy with that. There has been, and I got a clip about it too in a second. There has been, I think, issues in the public about the extent of what we're doing with the immigration enforcement. Obviously, doesn't mean go shoot ICE agents. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just where it pushes some crazy people like this to do something. And I think that's been a theme that's going on where, I think when Trump campaigned, it was let's get the criminals out, which, there were some people that disagree with it. It was crazy, but I think I
don't know, Shaun. I think he was like, if you came here illegally, he campaigned on that.
I think the message is,
look, criminals. You broke the law to get here. You're a criminal by definition. I know what you're saying.
The first thing you did when you came into the country was break the law.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me play this real quick. This is you guys probably seen this before. This is from Joe Rogan's show about a week or two ago, where he talks about this here. I'll play this clip real quick. Okay.
They said we're going to get rid of the criminals and the gang members first, right? And now we're seeing like Home Depots get raided. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then you've got this big protest that's scheduled for the 14th that's literally funded by the lady who owns Walmart.
The protest.
It's like No Kings. It's like a No Kings protest. It's happening all across the country. They said we're going to get rid of the criminal.
Now, look, at the end of the day, Joe has woken up a lot. He's taken a big old red pill the last couple of years, especially the last 12 months or so, 18 months, since COVID. But at the end of the day, Joe has still got some lefty in him, kind of that bleeding heart, compassionate. He spent a lot of time in California. He spent a lot more time around illegals. Is living in Southern California. And admittingly, we haven't spent a lot of time and we haven't built a lot of relationships with illegals, with illegal immigrant culture. So I know I have a different opinion on it than what a Joe Rogan might have. So I understand there's a group of people who are more compassionate about this and have more empathy for these people than I do. I just don't at the end of the day. And I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it or anything. And it's okay. Again, I can disagree with Joe Rogan and still like him. But I understand what you're saying, Shaun. There are a lot of people out there who feel like that this is too much.
Right.
I don't. I'm not one of them.
No, I understand that. Yeah, and I respect that. Look, I think you and I discussed this one time, and obviously I'm with Joe Rogan on this. Sure. I think the positions either way really aren't wrong. Actually, your position is probably more right in terms of the following the law. If we're talking about following the law. That's not
what you say when I argue with you about this.
No, because I talk about it when I say from a legal perspective. Yes, if you come here illegally, then yes, you can be deported because you came here illegally. That's the law. The law is the law. Like, what are you going to do? I'm just talking about from, obviously I look at it from like a moral perspective, and these people have been here for 20 years. They're working at Home Depot. They're gardeners. They're in the farms. I'm like, what are we doing? I think there's a big segment of the population that feels the way I do, and there's ones that feel the way y'all do. It's just kind of a split. And I don't know that anybody's necessarily really wrong on that.
I think I'm kind of in the middle of you and Clay, because I have no problem with someone who came here. They just wanted a better life. They got here illegally, but they are working and they are not a criminal. They've done nothing wrong. They pay taxes. They do, they're a good person. I have no problem with somehow finding a program that could incorporate these people into somehow becoming an American citizen rather than just deporting them or either sending them back with the intent that they can come back into the country and do it the right way in a certain time frame. I can see like there being a middle ground here.
Sure.
Both of your side, but to Clay's point, like if you did come here illegally, that's the first thing you did in this country was break the law. But Shaun, I understand you being the son of an immigrant and having a bleeding heart for those. But I get it. I get both sides.
Yeah, and that's I think and when you look at the numbers, like it's like 90% of people believe we should deport criminals that are illegal immigrants, and the 10% are obviously really crazy people. Like I don't know why everybody wouldn't be in agreement with that. The numbers change when you're talking about these guys that we're talking about, that Joe Rogan's talking about, working at the Home Depot, the farmers and that stuff. And at that point, it's like 64% of the public is for giving them a pathway, for citizenship, and how do we do that? And I think that's the.
But I think Trump has started something like that, right? He has started a program where the hotels and the farmers, he's not wanting to just deport all of them anymore.
I think so. I've actually looked into that pretty good. Right, he did initially say that when we went to the White House, actually, and then I think they backtracked on that because Stephen Miller kind of is in charge of this and talked him out of it, and then I think then he's going back to it. It's just all over the place. There's no really coherent on what to do with the people that are farmers and hotel workers and the Home Depot thing. I think we need to come up with a plan for this though, and that's what.
Well, so Shaun and I had a really in-depth conversation about this one time, and what I said that, of course, nobody gives a shit what Clay Edwards thinks that makes these decisions. But, I said I wouldn't have a problem with a processing center. Lindsey, really what you said, let's round them up. And I don't mean round them up, throw them in concentration camps. Let's round them up, create an Ellis Island type situation. Let's run them through it. Let's vet them.
Right. Absolutely.
And let's say, okay, here's a social security number, or here's an identification. Let's know who you are, where you are, how long you've been here. Have you been using
you're not a criminal?
Yeah, let's vet it. Have you broken laws since you've been here? And I don't mean just have you gotten a DUI or misdemeanor stuff. I mean, are you a felon? Have you put other people's lives at risk? Are you a drug dealer? All these other things. Let's look at it and say, okay, you've been arrested 3 times in 10 years. I don't know. Pick a number. Maybe there is no number. Maybe it's everything. Maybe everything's a case by case deal. I don't have a problem running them through a camp. At the end of the day, you got to get them there, keep them there. You'd have to do multiple. You couldn't just do one facility. It would have to be massive. It'd be the size of a state.
Wide open.
But run people through. You could probably process several thousand a day, I would think, and say, you're going home. You fucked around and found out you did not bring any. You were not a net positive to America. You were a net negative. And okay, look, you're a great asset to this country. You're doing the things the right way. You're working at Home Depot or working or doing whatever, and you're a net positive to your community. You're a leader in your community. Of course, we want you to stay here.
We're going to give you the steps where you can do that legally.
Yeah, legally. Okay. And to me, that is your dreamers. That is that is your amnesty. Let's round them up because we're doing that anyway, right? And we're just throwing them out. Let's run them through a facility and an Ellis Island type thing, and let's know you're here. Let's do this the right way. Quit using a fake identity. Start paying taxes. Whatever. But let's do it the right way. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. I mean, I don't think everybody's got to go. I'm not been in that camp, but if you have to do it like that, if you have to be the bull in a china shop, come through with a chainsaw instead of a precision blade every now and then, a surgeon's blade, you have to do that at first sometimes to prove a point. It's like I'll never forget you're seeing it in Gluckstadt right now with the new police department, but when they came up with Byram Police, they didn't take any crap. If you were going 41 and a 40, you got a ticket. And
they gave everybody a ticket.
And it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter if you were a cop. I don't know, because I know one example off the top of my head, Captain King, my friend Christy King's mom, who was a captain at the sheriff's department at Hinds County, she got a ticket for going 1 mile over the speed limit. And she was at the sheriff's department for 25 years. She retired from the sheriff's department. She couldn't get that ticket fixed. They're probably mad at me for telling the story, but she couldn't get that ticket fixed because they were making an example out of everybody. And sometimes you have to come in and you have to make an example out of everybody. And that's what they're doing right now, is they're creating fear for anybody thinking about coming across that border illegally. I don't know, juice ain't worth the squeeze. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's kind of where I stand on it. I'm not completely non-sympathetic about it. And I don't think, and I don't believe that there's probably a better solution than just throwing everybody out. I think there's probably a better solution than that, but they've chosen to go this route because, let's be honest, the logistics of setting up a camp and doing that would be massive, and it would require a massive use of our military to do it. And expensive. The infrastructure probably doesn't exist currently to do that. And so this is where we're at. And maybe that ends up happening once they get X amount of them out of there. They say, okay, now we have a manageable number. Because what are they saying here? There's probably 20 million illegals in the country right now.
I don't have the numbers on that. But
I don't know how they know how many illegals.
Yeah, I know,
right? Because if they knew, why are they still here?
Well, I mean, I think they're going to, I think it actually should be a priority in terms of if you're not just looking at, I'm not just talking about the compassionate way, the sheer labor way. Because right now, if you look at I think it's USDA has got it at, I pulled it, 50 to 70% of U.S. farm workers are undocumented immigrants.
But pretty soon we're going to have robots to do all that.
Yeah. So what do we do? Well, I mean, eventually, I'm sure. But we would cripple the labor force by getting rid of all them.
I think that's a myth we get fed. I don't know that that's 100% true. And the whole prices would spike. I don't know how much they would actually spike. I think there's a lot of other information available out there, different opinions on what would actually happen, and sitting there and constantly going back to it would cripple our certain industries. Well, those industries are multi-billion-dollar industries that could ease up on a little bit of their profits, as far as I'm concerned. Democrats don't think we should have billionaires. Okay, I can get behind that. Let's start paying American workers a living wage instead of hiring illegals. Start punishing these companies that hire illegals. I mean,
that's the key right there, Clay. I think there needs to be some sort of punishment or some sort of mechanism to hold people accountable, businesses that hire them knowing they're illegal.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like you're allowing this to happen. If you didn't allow them to hire them, we wouldn't have an illegals problem, in my opinion. They wouldn't be coming here to work undocumented.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they're not coming here just to sleep on the side of the road. They're coming here to work.
It's like, okay, cool. Just come the right way. Why is it so difficult? And look, I've never had to get in the country legally or illegally. I've never left the country. I've never gone to another country. But my understanding is, if you're an American, just about everywhere in the world, outside of about Mexico or Canada, you got to have a passport. I think you actually got to have a passport to get in Canada, don't you?
I think now you do. You didn't used to. I went when I was much younger, and you didn't. I think now you have.
Do you not have to have one for Mexico?
I think you do for Mexico too now. They changed that. I think around 07, 08, maybe. I think that's right.
Okay. And again,
I've been to Mexico since before 2008, or Canada since after 2008. Excuse me. Yeah. So I think before you didn't. You just need your license, because we used to go up to Windsor when I was at Ohio State, because you could drink in Canada at 19. That was the plan. Everybody would in college were like, oh, you can drink in Canada. It's not that far. So.
Do you have to have one to go to Hawaii?
No.
I
asked that. And I asked that, and Shaun laughed at me, by the way.
He didn't.
Kidding. He did. Oh, you were kidding. Okay, never mind. Maybe that was a stupid question then. I did want to get people's opinion on. I mean, Shaun, can you play the video at the governor's mansion?
The one you said.
The First Amendment auditor. I'm glad you brought this up. The First Amendment.
You have to email it to me in my Gmail.
Oh.
Because I don't have on the screen here.
Well, why didn't you tell me that before we went live?
No, it's cool. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. It seems like Trump is, he gets pulled in both directions on this. Cause of course he's got his rich friends, right, that are like, we need the illegals. And then Stephen Miller comes in there and we got to get rid of everybody. So it gets pulled all over, and it changes constantly. It's done that the last few weeks, I've noticed.
Well, you know what I do like about that? What I think it does show favorably for Trump, in my opinion, is he is up for listening to other people's opinions, and he doesn't get dead set. And I think, Shaun, you've pointed this out before, that Trump is kind of pliable, and you can kind of mold him, and he is willing to listen to people and change his mind on stuff. And I don't have a problem with that until it's something that I don't want him to change his mind on, like sending weapons over to Ukraine.
Well, which I've got the clip. Well, Lindsey's up about that, though. Have you seen that clip yet today?
I have not seen it yet. But I hear about it.
This is I'll show this real quick, but he's changed his mind on that, Clay. I can't talk about him change his mind. He seems to here you go. I'm playing this real quick for everybody.
We get a lot of thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
Do you want to sanction him? Lindsey Graham has a sanctions bill on Russia. Do you want him to move ahead with that?
I'm looking at it. Yeah, no, I'm looking. The Senate is passed a very, very tough sanctions bill. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Can you sign that?
It's an optional bill. It's totally at my option. They passed it totally at my option, and to terminate totally at my option. And I'm looking at it very strongly. We get a lot of.
He was he's pretty mad at Vladdy.
Exactly.
Huh?
So what was he saying there? Was he?
He said today.
Earlier, the last I saw was we were going to send some weapons to Ukraine.
Yeah, he said that we're going to because they got to defend themselves, is what the statement he made this morning. Right. He said we got to. Yeah,
he's still in that direction. Where he hasn't changed his mind back to.
Well, if they have to defend themselves, then let them. Why do we have to defend them?
Well, he's talking about we're giving them weapons because they can't defend themselves without our weapons, and he decided to give them weapons. I think he's really pissed at Putin, is what it seems like, because he thought he was going to be able to resolve this thing, which hasn't happened, and now Putin is going on offensive after offensive, and you can see by that clip he's not happy about it. So I think that's where you see a lot of it.
So I've heard some other creators or people that I listen to suggest that what he's found out is that there's a lot of different countries that are profiting off this war and on both sides and don't want this to end well beyond. It's just, it ain't up to America. What's going to happen over there. They're going to do what they want to do. And there's a lot of other forces at play beyond just us wanting them to stop.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, war is big business. That's the, we've known that for a long, long time. That's why we're, also, I think most people now have become so much more anti-war than they were. But I mean, war is President Eisenhower, that was his final address, the military-industrial complex, and that's the ticket. And it's a damn shame. But I got Lindsey's thing up here ready now. Let me go click to that real quick.
Let me say this real quick while you're doing that. It's also what got JFK killed.
Absolutely. He issued an order to draw down our forces in Vietnam, even though not long before he was killed, and to dismantle the CIA, which they didn't want either. Yeah. So there was a lot of things that are very interesting that he did not want to commit to that kind of troop deployment to Vietnam before he died. And then of course, LBJ took over, and then it just went, it went crazy. So, but
this is a completely different subject here.
It's just subject.
No, I like that we're hitting a bunch of stuff. I like this rapid fire. Appreciate everybody tuning in with us. We're figuring this out.
No, I'm fine.
Let's tell people what we're doing.
All this
is right outside the governor's mansion.
I'm trying to. There's no way to.
Yeah, all this is we the people's property.
I'll play it a couple
This is the First Amendment order.
Inside of that gate, huh?
You go call the street. We're fine and all that, okay?
Well, no, I'm fine right here.
No, you're not fine.
How am I not?
Because I said you're not.
I'm on the sidewalk.
No. Yeah, one more time.
I'm on the.
Get your stuff. They go to fuck across the street. You understand me?
Is it under threat of arrest?
Yeah, you're under threat of arrest. The fuck ain't around here, man.
Do you know what the First Amendment is?
I don't give a fuck what the First
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name and badge number? Tyrant? What's your name and badge number? I have a First Amendment right to be on the sidewalk. I'm on the fucking sidewalk. I'm on the fucking sidewalk. Do something about it.
Hey, man, get your shit. Go.
Hey, you're going to get away from me. You're going to get away from me. Put your hands on me.
Get the fuck on fire, knock you.
Oh!
Fuck on, man.
Whoa!
Fuck on with you.
Hey,
we tell you that, move.
Let's de-escalate.
Fuck you think I'm playing with you, man?
Hey.
Fuck.
Oh!
Let's get there.
I want charges on him. I want charges on him now. 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 Look.
Ree!
There's something seriously wrong with you.
What do about it? And he showed me.
What the fuck are you gonna do about it? What are you doing to him? He doesn't need to even be here anymore. Send his ass home. After that right there, I'm standing where I can stand at. I'm standing where I can stand at. It's your fucking ass. Hey, I want his name and badge number. What's his name? I need name and badge numbers of all y'all. Name and badge number. Name and badge number. Name and badge number.
My supervisor just asked you to step away from
Name and badge number.
You asked for a supervisor, we gave you one.
Hey, I need a name and badge number. I need a name and badge number.
Back off.
Name and badge number.
Back off. Back off. White. Now back
White?
Here's the color. White. Now back off.
Look, this is not TSA and nobody checked under his shoes. He could have had a bomb for all they knew. I completely support those officers protecting our governor.
Oh, I wish they beat the fucking shit out of him. I mean, that guy deserved it. Excuse me.
I can't stand those First Amendment auditor guys.
I mean,
look, I'm obviously a full supporter.
That's what he wanted.
They go out. It's just like those Fondren street preachers.
Yeah.
They go out. They start fights with people, testing everybody's gangster, begging them to do something. They were telling lesbians they were going to go to hell out here at the Brandon Amphitheater a couple of years ago. One of them punched one in the face, and now he's suing them and suing everybody he can after he started a fight with them. I don't support that crap at all. You go out. What the fuck you going to do about it? Well, he showed you, and now you're crying like a bitch.
I mean, our governor has young children. This people live there. You cannot just assume that this person is not someone crazy who's going to do something like attempt to blow up our governor's mansion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously crazy. I mean, you can say the complete meltdown. Again, I support the premise of the First Amendment stuff 100%. But what they're doing is not, I guess it's covered under the First Amendment, but they can get their ass whooped too.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, now look, what did the cop handle it right? No. I mean, I think we can agree on that. He shouldn't have gone out there and done that.
He should have been more calm, obviously.
He's got to be, he needs to be above that and understand that this comes with the territory. But I do know a legislator right here, and I don't know if he wants me to put this out there, so I won't say his name, but I do know we're friends with a legislator that is actually that has discussed working on a bill to do something about the First Amendment auditors. There's a way to do it. Because they're harassing people. There's a fine line between your First Amendment rights and your right to harass people. Yeah, 100%. There's a medium there. What it is, I'm not sure, but there's a medium there where you don't get to just harass and scream at people just because they're a public servant.
Could that not have been could they not have made him leave because of disturbing the peace or something along those lines? I mean, legally?
Shaun, in there, I call it fighting words, but aren't there some things where it's self-defense?
Yeah, I mean,
threats.
Sure, like in simple assault, if you threaten somebody with it's got to be imminent serious bodily injury, like I'm going to effing shoot you, that guy's saying that, then I think he would have been right to the trooper to defend himself under that context. Now, if he's just being an asshole, I think that's probably what our legislative friends trying to fix that tweak in the law, because there's not really a law, I think, against being a dickhead. You know what I mean? In that context, or like maybe the better way to put it would be a situation where you're reasonably fear like he's going to do something, even though he hasn't said that. Like when you watch that video, and situation would obviously dictate, but looking at that guy looks dangerous. Like,
yes.
I almost don't, I mean, I'm going to differ for the all on the cop. I mean, I almost would have just beat the shit out of that guy. Like he looks like he had talk about a shoe bomb. He looked like he could have a bomb or whatever it was. And I
don't fault the cop for doing what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, I would like to see a more calm and just understanding that this guy's trying to get a reaction out of it.
Yeah.
And you're giving him what he wants, and you're feeding into what he wants. But I liked seeing the cop reaction. I'm kind of contradicting myself a little bit here. I liked seeing that play out the way it did, but especially being a trooper, I would like to see that those guys are held to a little higher standard. I would like to see him being a little cooler head, because if what's his reaction? How does he act on the side of the road in other cases that don't require such a response? Kind of what I'm getting at.
Well, under the law, Shaun, can he be held accountable for? I mean, did he break a law?
Talking about the guy or the trooper? Right. I don't think the trooper. It didn't seem like he was just trying to get the guy. I mean, he was extra. He got
physical.
Yeah, did he grab him? I couldn't see that.
I think he got physical.
I couldn't tell right there. I mean, I guess
it seemed that way to me.
If again, it goes into, and kind of Clay said fighting words, and that's the general context of it. You have to be in you have to be in reasonable fear of imminent bodily harm. And I think that guy, I mean, watching the video, I could see where someone would feel that way. I would feel that way if I'm just standing there, guys acting crazy. I don't know what he's going to do.
So close to the governor's mansion.
Yeah,
Why are you wanting to
that's
be so
another
close?
thing. So in that situation, I think the trooper's probably fine from a legal perspective.
My buddy Breacher here, so I'll just call him by his YouTube name, 601 Breacher, JT, says, TJ, whichever one it is, I always get them confused. There's so many different names. Anyway, says, so they're going to tweak a law, almost forcing you to have to be nice to a cop because he doesn't know de-escalation tactics. We don't agree there. That guy was starting a fight. He was intentionally goading the guy into coming over there.
Yeah.
The cop didn't start the shit. The guy, I mean, look, I hate constantly saying this. He fucked around and found out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and I don't think the cop should have any charges pressed on him. I don't think you should be able to goad somebody into choking your ass or punching you and then turn around and press charges on him. Like, no, you asked him what the fuck you gonna do. Well, he showed you.
Yeah. And Breacher just said the guy was a prick, but let's be real, the trooper had at least 3 inches in height on him and 80 inches in weight, maybe. But I get that. But at the same time, I mean, my mindset is, why are you at the governor's mansion?
Yeah.
Like, why are you at the governor's mansion? Why do you want to be so close? That just, to me, seems like they've got some kind of bad intention here, and this could go wrong. This could go south real quick.
I used to enjoy these First Amendment audit videos, but then I realized they're just trolls.
Mm-hmm.
They're not out.
Clickbait.
Yeah. Why do you got to film it? And people talk about Clay just does stuff for clicks and views. Well, yeah, this is my job. At the end of the day, you're right. I do stuff for clicks and views, and I want it, but I do this because I love it. And
that guy had 3 different camera angles, 3 different cameras, and 3 different. I mean,
he went down there with intention of getting the reaction he got.
Yeah.
Or wanting to get the reaction that he got. And then he got mad that he got the reaction that he got. I mean, he was about to cry. I want the reaction. I mean,
give it to me now.
Was he, it said on the tagline there, like journalist? Was he some sort of, TikTok
not internationally recognized, I'm sure.
No. I'm proof that anybody can call himself a journalist.
Yeah.
And for the record, for anybody that doesn't know, the whole internationally recognized journalist is what Sky News put on my title when they invited me on to talk about the Jackson trash situation. I didn't actually say I was an internationally recognized journalist. It's kind of like a deep state troll at our local journalist because they didn't get to go on Sky News. I did. And they referred to me as an internationally recognized journalist. It was kind of a joke. But anyway, I want to clear that up because it's been a while since I've cleared that up. I don't think I'm a journalist, but I do more journalism than half the quote unquote journalists around here.
CJ doesn't think you are either.
Well, I don't think he is sometimes.
He's he doesn't think so. So
I mean, I think he would have made a great brown shirt Gestapo.
Gestapo.
But yeah, I just that looks like a situation where somebody could have got hurt caused by the First Amendment auditor. So I think sometimes you get your ass kicked, and that's what you ask for it. And we were talking about this on the show today. We need to bring some of these ass kickings back. And,
you said we need duels.
And here's what I mean, Clay. And I was talking about this on the show today. Like, people feel comfortable. Now, at least this guy had the balls to do it in person, so I'll give him that, at least that much. But people feel comfortable on the internet attacking each other and saying these hateful things. And, people that you might know locally, but you don't really see, but they would never say it to you in person. So my thought process, maybe our legislator friend can help with this, is let's bring back dueling. So if they had that for a reason. So like
people sign a release and saying, it's like La Cosa Nostra rules,
Y'all are acting like we need the purge or something. Come on now.
Well, I mean, it was a very civilized thing to do in the 18th and 19th century.
We don't live in the 18th or 19th century.
The former vice president, they made a whole play out of it. Hamilton, he wasn't the vice president, Aaron Burr was, but Hamilton got killed by Aaron Burr. That's because Hamilton was talking shit about Burr and then had to duel him, and Burr killed him.
Wait,
this is ridiculous.
Let me just do this right here. We got a brand new fucked around and found out grand champion, and he was the First Amendment auditor.
That went to the governor's mansion in Mississippi.
So
I mean, and what I hate is that guy probably lines up with us and probably listens to our radio shows. And, probably agrees with us on 90% of the stuff that we say and do. I don't know that. I'm just guessing. But that 10%, what they did right there, I'm not going to co-sign it. Shaun, if you went and did that, I would say the same things about you. If I went and did that, I would expect y'all to say the same thing about me. Like, wow, Clay has absolutely lost it.
I mean, we do say that about you sometimes.
We would be like, oh, what the hell is that shit? That would,
That's ridiculous. And look, and I've called out the Fondren Street preachers, the Church in the Wilderness people. I 100% disagree with the stuff they're doing too, and that's right there with that. They go out, they goad people into assaulting them so they can sue. That is what they're trying to do. I want to file charges right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's people like you remember, I'm sure, the Westboro Baptist Church, those lunatics, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
they found out what happened in a small town. Find out what happened in a small town.
Rankin County rewrote the book on how to handle them, and you notice you ain't seen or heard a word from them since they left Brandon, Mississippi.
Try that.
You haven't. Yeah, I haven't heard from them.
Teresa put out a great article about that. After the Jason Aldean song came out, Try That in a Small Town. Mm-hmm. She put out an article about that and said, look, this is what happens when you try that around here.
I mean, did someone get their ass kicked? I think I remember, or like somebody. Like,
oh yeah. One day they got their ass whooped to the gas station the second they got off the exit.
Right. I thought that I remember something like that.
And then they got their vehicles blocked in.
They blocked them in during the funeral.
Yeah, that was a big deal around here. I was working at Great Daniels Ford when that happened, and I wasn't living out here yet, but I was pretty plugged into what was going on. I knew the guy's sister that got killed, and I was actually talking about this on the radio show a couple of weeks ago, and the other sister was listening. I said he had a twin. It wasn't a twin, but he had a sister. And really sad deal, man. Jason.
Yeah, that was a sad.
Yeah, his name
story.
Jason Rogers. I pulled it up here. Yeah,
right.
Jason Rogers, a Marine who was killed in Afghanistan from Brandon. I mean, I just remember that thinking, like, how fucking sick do you got to be to go protest a Marine's funeral? Like, whatever your political agenda is. And theirs was, I think, that, correct me if I'm wrong, that America's stance on LGBT caused God to hate us, and that's why Marines were getting killed, right? And something like that.
Yeah, pretty much, just a different spin, but no different than what that hateful woman said.
That's exactly what I was about to say. You got to be as sick as these people that are making these comments after this flood in Texas.
Right. The same theory they had, though, on that.
Kids deserve to die because their parents voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Insane.
Yeah, and
that's
they were
disgusting.
And Westboro had gone around the whole country doing this, several different places. It wasn't just they just happened to pick the wrong place.
Well, we were talking about it last night. I don't know if we were talking about on air or off air, but we were talking about how we were talking about businesses not coming to Rankin County or coming to Rankin County because of statues and flags and this, that, and the other. And somebody had made the comment, maybe it was in the comments or something, that Rankin County's got a reputation for it always had a reputation for maybe some redneckery. At the end of the day, maybe some racism, whatever. Well, what they found out is Rankin County has a reputation for not taking any dumb shit. And
Clay, did you hear they decided what to do with the statue? They figured it out today.
Oh, I've not. Have they? Did they?
Yeah, they're going to put it in Steve Gaines' front yard.
That's right.
And whose?
Steve Gaines.
Oh.
It's going in Steve Gaines' front yard. That's what they decided.
That's what I heard.
Lindsey dropped that one on the radio. It was pretty funny. I was like, where? Oh God.
I mean, allegedly, that's what I'm hearing. That's what I heard they were going to do.
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I ain't got no problem with Steve. And look, his daughter's is a friend of mine too. I ain't got no problem with Steve. I think he's all right with me. I'm real talk. I mean, he shouldn't have said what he said.
It was racist as all get out.
I understand what he was doing.
Those
he was
kids across the river.
Troops a little bit, but he shouldn't have said it. But at the end of the day, it pissed off a lot of the people that I don't like. So I don't care.
Well, it made me mad, and I think it pissed off some people you do like. So
yeah, I mean, it was obviously stupid. I mean, it was just the wrong thing. If you want to, say things like that, just say them in your house privately. That would have been better, I would think.
But still,
you shouldn't say it at all.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you do that, don't say it in public.
Clay, Starla had some people with Americans for Prosperity here from New York, and they actually went to the breakfast, and then she was trying to explain to them, we're not all racist, because they made that comment about across the river.
Yeah.
They made that comment about across the river, and I think that really set not so well with a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's hard to get past that one. That's a little rough.
Yeah.
But on a lighter note, have y'all seen this new T app? Who's looking at the T app?
You told me about it. You told us about it yesterday. You said, ironically, you sent it. I think it was you that sent it, saying that this is it's the "Are we dating the same guy?" stuff on steroids.
Yes, it is an app form.
And it's called T.
It's called T. Y'all gotta go check this out.
And apparently, I am featured.
I found you. I came across you scrolling.
Nice. Now, look, y'all can say a lot about me, but I am not out there doing things to end up on the T app or on any of these "Are we dating the same people?" app either.
I mean, Saul Goodman just probably wanted to date you and put that out.
Yeah, I mean, look, if she keeps dragging me into stuff, I'm gonna tell everyone about her and I's love affair, our rendezvous, and whatnot. So, I mean,
that's the real reason she got fired from her job, isn't it? Y'all were secretly hooking up in the closet at work.
Maybe she can join Westboro Baptist Church. I think that's an organization that she would fit in with pretty well. We can send her a membership application or something.
People are crazy, man.
Insane. Absolutely insane. What's the latest on your Justin Fowler drama?
He's still in jail.
Mm-hmm.
There is no update. I saw where somebody mentioned cough, one of the other guys' names that I refuse to say their names just because they won't.
But he has the same name as somebody else, right? The other person, I feel bad for the other person who keeps kind of getting brought up in it.
Football player, constable in Hinds County, great guy.
He is a great guy. I got him confused when I saw that. I was like, I said, Leon? Didn't he play for the Bills?
Say the name.
I just refuse to.
But he, I'm talking about Constable played for the Bills teams, right? The early 90s Bills team.
Constable Leon Sills is a great man.
Yeah.
But I won't say the other guy's name.
Yeah.
Right.
That guy's a clown.
Yeah, for sure.
And his buddy's a clown. The whole Three Stooges.
The mama's the most insane. She acts like my mother-in-law.
Oh, she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for sure.
Definitely. The drama.
Yeah, they're crazy and they want attention, and I just refuse to give it to them. I mean, this is the most I'm gonna talk about it, and I mean, y'all are welcome to. I mean, I just choose not to partake in it because that's what they want. They want attention, and they don't get it. Their posts don't get any. They don't get any traction. They spend a whole weekend saying the most asinine, vulgar things they possibly could about me on the internet.
I couldn't make sense of any of it. The stuff that the Justin Fowler guy was posting, it didn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, at some point, you just got to ask, do these people have jobs?
No.
And the answer is no.
I mean, especially Natalie. I mean, she's got her own dad fired her. She didn't even have nothing.
These people like to say, well, Clay, get a real job. I'm sorry, I make real money and I work my ass off.
Remember that?
Jobs. Like one of them goes and spends all day at the Rankin County Courthouse every day looking for corruption and trying to expose stuff. And it's just ridiculous.
What was that? Was that an Instagram page or a YouTube account or a Twitter account that was? Does Clay have a job yet? That daily posted.
It was an X account.
People need to.
That was fat fuck from Jackson that runs the social media for the city of Jackson.
Oh, okay. It's really amazing when you do this media stuff, radio, online stuff. The people you encounter like this, and I'm not going to name this person's name, but I'm talking about the first day I was on your show almost over 2 years ago, I got an inbox message from the guy and you're like, yep, that's the dude, and it just from there, it's trickled. There's always been a new crazy that shows up every so often. They cycle.
I mean, look, I understand you can dislike people and there's plenty of people that I dislike with, but to have the energy and put forth the effort and the time to let them know I don't like them. For one, you'll probably never know unless I bring your name up randomly in a conversation like this because I'm making fun of you. I'm definitely not going to listen to your content all day, every day, appointment viewing. I mean, hey, look, their views count. They're paying for that rafter out in the driveway. So, they're paying for this house out here in a great school district that I don't take advantage of because I don't have kids. Well, I don't have kids in school. But neither here nor there. The effort it takes to hate somebody and to be as crazy as they are towards me. It was like the Justin Fowler thing. That guy was mad at me because I never covered his story. Like he thought that if I would just cover what was going on with him, what was happening with him, that somehow it would it would show that he was right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, first, I think you're crazy. I intentionally ignored everything he was doing because I thought he was batshit crazy. And I don't think he was right about anything. I think he was a nut job, that there's video proof of him assaulting his baby mama. He's been to jail for it multiple times. That's what he's sitting in jail for now, is felony aggravated domestic violence.
Yeah.
He is a violent, dangerous, crazy person.
Well, there was a video of him at the police department. He looks crazy.
He got 10 years suspended, but he's basically on a zero tolerance release right now for threatening Trey Spillman and his wife.
Yeah, I remember when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then he showed up after he said he was going to cut Trey's ear off, shows up to his office after the warrant got issued and there was an APB out for him, shows up to Trey's, was it Circuit Court?
Justice Court. Yeah. He's in Justice Court. Yeah.
With a knife.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got the video of him being arrested, of Rankin County rolling in on him and with guns drawn and arresting him and walking him out in cuffs. I mean, the guy's a crazy person. And I was like, well, I'm not going to give this guy any attention because these are the kind of people that I legitimately do worry about doing something crazy. When crazy people tell you they're going to do something,
believe them.
Have a pretty good track record of doing it. And I've been doing this long enough that I've had people show up and stuff and try crazy things that I don't publicize because I don't want to encourage more crazy people. But at the end of the day, you go, people are like, oh, you're a pussy. You pressed charges on Mr. Fucked around and found out, pressed charges. You didn't want to go fight him. Well, first off, my version of fucking around and finding out is you doing dumb shit and going to jail. It's not us in the parking lot and dueling.
Yeah.
It's like, no. I don't know you. I've never, this guy just simply wants to start something with me because I am a public figure and he feels like I ignored his case and I didn't give him attention. And if I had just let him tell his side of the story on my platform, that everybody would think he wasn't crazy. And I'm not going to do that. He's paranoid schizophrenic, and I think he's right where he belongs in Whitfield right now.
That's like the guy, if you all remember, about a year or so ago, that when we were talking about the Goon Squad stories, and he showed up. He called me because of that, and then I was like, this guy's kind of nuts, so I didn't really talk to him much more after that. Then he showed up in my office with like a rifle. Do you remember that?
I sent you a picture of it outside the gate.
Yeah, outside the gate. And
was that the one that was like messing with Sutton too? And
yeah, I don't remember exactly what happened there, but
he's in jail right now too.
Yeah, well, he ended up threatening to blow up the Rankin County Sheriff's Office after that, and then he went to jail for that.
Yeah, he was actually working with Corey, or had just got fired working with Corey out of that dealership a couple of days before that. And I made a video about him, and his mom has sent me multiple messages like he's trying to get in touch with you in jail. I don't want to talk to these people. I'm not going to help them. There's nothing I'm going to do or say or conversation that we're going to have that is going to help their situation any. It's going to hurt it. They're best not talking to me.
Yeah.
David Funches says block them. Look, we have tried to block this one person from every account multiple times, and she somehow still finds a way to comment. It's insane to have that much time to spend on being obsessed with somebody who you say you hate. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I've got them all blocked as much as I can. I think one of her accounts has slipped through the Shanae Jenkins, and I find it so funny that somebody who spends so much time calling me a racist has fake social media accounts that are basically blackface.
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what it is.
I mean, she's out there, her dad's super woke liberal jackass that was clowning last night trying to pay to get the statue moved, because of racism and stuff. And she gets on social media calling me a racist, but she's playing blackface with a fake African-American or black or whatever you want to call it, social media account called Shanae.
I think there's more than just those two. I think she has more than just those two accounts.
Just several. But I just find it comical that in her mind, what she's doing isn't racism.
Yeah, I don't know what's in her mind, if anything, really.
She's impersonating lowest common denominator, black stereotype.
Yeah, she's the obsession complex she has is quite amazing.
With
it's quite
all
something.
Three of us,
yeah.
To be honest,
it's almost borderline scary. You're like, is this
another one that if I could figure out a proper way to press charges on, like I did with Fowler. I mean, I pressed charges on Fowler because he posted a picture of my girlfriend with a threat towards me in the message.
Right.
And again, keep in mind, never had a conversation with this guy, never made a post about this guy, never replied to a single comment. And he's been begging for this for weeks too, by the way. I don't know what he got fired up about me for, but he decided that, to quote him, that he wanted all the smoke. And he got it. He got it. But my idea of smoke at 40, a month away from being 48 years old is I have friends in law enforcement, and I'm not scared to go down there. And not that being friends with any of them had anything to do with it. The judge had to agree that it was a threat.
Yeah.
You know, I went down there, pressed the charges. The judge looked at it, looked at the evidence, and said, you know what? This is a valid threat. I'm signing off on it. That wasn't a favor of any sorts. That wasn't me being in the good old boys. I find it comical. They think I was a supporter of the Goon Squad and all this stuff. That's been their narrative. I'm like, did y'all ever listen to the radio show?
Y'all covered it pretty a lot. Y'all covered a lot of it.
27 episodes was dead. Just the title alone of the show. I went back and searched my Podbean account, and I used the term goon, and I counted 27 different titles. That don't even count other conversations that were had during that time about us dragging the Goon Squad across the coals. So I don't know how it's been confused that I somehow support the Goon Squad. And see, here's one of those jackasses here in the comments. They're like fucking Beetlejuice. You talk about them and they appear.
Sorry, that was like Beetlejuice.
I've never seen Beetlejuice, but I guess that.
And it looks like Mr. Timeout's out of timeout right now. I mean, he'll be arrested again here in a couple of days. He got arrested about 4 times in 2 weeks, 5 times in 2 weeks over the last few weeks, twice in one day, which, I mean, kudos.
Hey, Clay.
OneTextLaw.com. OneTextLaw.com. Remember that.
Clay, when I was filling in and producing for Kim, Thomas called. I was like, Thomas is alive. I thought he was dead.
I did too. I had a funeral for him on there.
Well, tell us. Okay, I know we got to wind down. Tell us about next weekend at the Wildlife.
At the Wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll be there, broadcasting, set up, having a good old time. We've got a big production. Bought a big new display expo set up. We'll be out there. We're gonna have a good time. All the new FAFO merch will be available. We'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Wildlife Expo.
Where is it this year?
It's the same place it's been the last few years in Rankin County, right there at the Pearl at Hines Community College at the Clyde Muse Center.
Okay. The last time I was out there, it was at in that hotel in Flowood.
They did it one year at the refuge there, but that wasn't quite big enough, so they moved it.
Yeah, it was crowded.
Yeah, and it's crowded where it's at now. But it's just a great fit location wise, and there's plenty of parking. It's Pearl and Mayor Wyndham, what probably the best mayor in the state. I'm just going to be honest. Mayor Wyndham's done a phenomenal job there in Pearl.
I know, I love Mayor Mary. Don't hate on her.
Well, you know, here's what I think the difference is, and I don't have a problem with Mayor Mary. I don't like what she did with the marijuana stuff. She going against the will of the people. Now, I don't even care about the marijuana aspect. She violated the will of the people, but I think she got to build something from scratch, and Mayor Wyndham is rebuilding something.
That's true. That's true.
And they're both unique, and they both take a lot of work, and it's interesting. It's fun to see it happen. I don't think Jake is going to stay mayor as long as she has, and I think that's by choice. Where I think she may die in office, you know, and I hope that's 20 years from now. You know, I'm not wishing ill will on her at all.
Right.
And she's a lifer in that.
She's kept Madison safe, you know, and she takes care of Madison, and she wants to do anything she can to protect Madison, which I respect.
Sure. She, in her mind, she's doing right by Madison. I don't think there's any deep-rooted interest in certain things. I don't think she's doing things and keeping things out for financial purposes or this, that, and the other. I think that she's led by her beliefs and that's virtuous, and she thinks she's doing the right thing, and I can respect that, whether I disagree with it or not.
Well, you know, Clay, she and I disagree on school choice, but I mean, I have a great relationship with Mayor Mary, but we disagree a lot on that one issue, but I still love her. I know she does do things that she believes is like Madison is her baby, and she wants to protect it at all costs.
I mean, well, can you tell me a single local mayor, Democrat or Republican, that agrees on school choice?
They're out there, maybe not in Rankin or Madison County, but they're out there.
I mean, that even the ones in Jackson don't agree with it.
Well, because they're idiots.
From it the most. It's wild. And I don't want to get into an argument about it because we just don't agree on it. But I've just
wait a minute. Last time I heard you talk about it, you were coming around.
No, I said it was facetious. I was like, if you were ever going to get me to agree on it, it would be this whatever it was I was joking about. But look, and it's okay to agree to disagree. I mean, I don't have kids in school, so you do. So you've got a more vested interest in that than I do, And
I'll bring you over eventually. You'll see.
So, let's see.
I've got Shaun, quoting InfoWars over here. So,
Yeah, it's true.
I'm persuasive.
I'm reading some of the comments. I'm sorry. No, you are. I mean, look, we'll see what ends up happening. I just think that, and my stance is never gonna. It hasn't changed on it. It's that just because it may play well nationally, everywhere doesn't have a Jackson connected to it, and that's the aspect. The public school aspect is what hangs me up. I like everything else to do with school choice. I don't mind public money. I don't mind the tax money going to the private schools, and then the Democrats don't like that side of it. That part doesn't bother me. It's the public school to public school transfer from like a different district to a different district. That's the part I don't like, but I don't have a problem with any other part of it. What are those other schools called? I'm having a brain fart right now.
Charter schools.
Yeah. What I understand about charter schools, I don't have a problem with, and I don't have a problem with me using my tax credit to send my kid to private school, because I don't think it's fair that people that don't have kids in school had to pay the taxes for the schools. I mean, I understand why it's like that, so I can't sit here and say I don't disagree with that. I don't agree with that, and then I'm disagree with being able to use that money for the private school. So,
and Shaun, who has no kids, he's actually okay with that.
What?
That part of it, having tax money taken out from you when you don't have kids in school.
Well, it already is.
But you're okay with that.
Yeah, right. Sure, I'm fine. But yeah, I mean, anybody owns a house,
it's for the greater good of the community.
Yeah.
I believe the children are our future. Good schools matter. And that's why you see in the middle class completely deteriorated in Jackson.
We are the world.
Better schools, we prevent people like, the people that stalk us, right? And those kind of people. So if we had better schools, maybe we'd have less crazy people.
Yeah, well, we had a big night on the stream tonight. Without the Facebook comments working, we still had over 100 YouTube comments I'm seeing here from Restream. So that's a pretty big night on the show. We'll take that. I appreciate everybody. I'm sure we had a big night over on Facebook too. So this is our second official night doing this. It looks like right now we're going to do this every Sunday through Thursday. We're taking Fridays and Saturday nights off.
I'm glad you changed that. I was like, can we make it Sunday through Thursday, not Monday through Friday?
Yeah, no, Shaun mentioned that today, and I was like, yeah, that makes total sense.
Sunday is the big night. Sunday is when everybody's tuned in, I think.
Yeah, and we'll see how that works with football season.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
When
but as of right now, especially through the dog days of summer, I am A-okay with the more we stream at nighttime, the better off I am with it. I ain't got
y'all want to do your sports show, that's fine. I'll just stay out of the room. Y'all go for it.
Well, we did agree that if we do the sports show this year, it won't be on location anywhere. That was a big effort we put. But look, I'm glad we did it. I don't regret any of it, because I think getting out there and doing that and putting in that work, that opened some doors for us too. So
yeah, I think the problem was nobody could hear you guys. And at the locations, they couldn't hear what you were saying, so it was. Well, but they got to see you. So
traditionally, when I've gone to live remotes like that, you couldn't hear the people there. They were there to promote what was going on there. They weren't necessarily there to be the entertainment for the people there. Because then you end up running into the problem of the people who were just there for burgers, beer, and football. Why do they have to hear these two assholes over in the corner talking?
Right.
Yeah. So it's like a catch-22. But I mean, I do want to do an event where we are the headliner, where we are the entertainment, and if you're there, you have to hear us, whether you want to or not. Yeah. If you're there, you understand that we're there to be we're doing a town hall type podcast.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Looks like there's a fight going down in the comments over here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw one of the whistleblowers stirring things up.
So yes,
Mama.
Somebody's
Beetlejuice.
Somebody's threatened to end Michael Applewhite, so
and his kids. I mean,
you might want to get out of the comments, Michael.
I don't think Michael cares.
No, I don't think so either.
Y'all leave Michael alone. He's the meme creator. We like him.
Let me read the comments over here. I mean, I ain't got nothing to do, but I just need to eat, and I do have to. I'm about to steal steal our show prep for tonight for my show prep tomorrow.
Well, we were talking about that, and it really does. Doing this makes things easier for the next day, unless something breaking happens. It does make things easier to talk about. You're familiar with it all.
The only downside, in my opinion, is creating burnout for the followers that watch this, then turn around and listen to the show the next morning. Is they're kind of already hearing they're hearing twice what I had to say. But like this morning, I had time to sleep on my thoughts last night and expand upon them more. And I thought it was a good show today.
I thought it was really great. I love that you did the not depopulation, but what was the
steps to genocide?
Yeah, I thought that was great. And that had nothing to do with anything that we said last night.
No, you said, well, that's what a good old rabbit hole will do, is you get to talking about something and you stumble into a rabbit hole. And that genocide, I wish I had picked a different meme when I picked the image, because I couldn't read the text was so small on the screen. I had to take a picture of the screen with my phone, and I was trying to expand it, and it was too blurry. So I don't know, but at least
I felt like the vaccine, that was a lot of us felt like that was what was supposed to be happening with COVID and the vaccine and everything. The steps you were talking about made sense. It went along with that.
Well, if our country wasn't set up the way it is and the government had a little more control, I do believe that we were heading down that path. But thankfully, our government is built to be a yin and a yang. And people can say, even if you think I'm being a little hyperbolic here or hyperbole, being a little over dramatic, either way, our government is set up. If it pulls too far one way, it does pull us back the other. And it got our democracy got tested. It really got tested over the last 4 or 5 years, our true democracy. And it showed that our founders really knew what they were doing. They were really smart men.
Yeah.
And there's times where it gets pulled too far right and the left pulls it back. And there's times it goes too far left and the right pulls it back. And, you could argue right now that it's, the pendulum has swung far right because it swung so far left.
We say that all the time.
And over the next couple of years, I think you'll see it pull back to the middle. And I hope that the next election cycle doesn't pull us all the way back to the left. I hope that we can find some left of center, right of center for 15, 20 years. And we get out of this ultra far left and ultra far right pendulum.
Right. Because nobody benefits from that. Nobody does.
No, it's like every 4 years, like the country can't get settled in any direction. With the exception of like the Supreme Court, thankfully. And, we showed that works. So, and we don't agree with everything they do, but we showed that is there as a fail-safe to protect us from going too far in either direction.
Yeah, that pendulum swings, and it swings hard.
It does. And I mean, there were some times there in that the last 4 years, that I had serious doubts about, what was going to happen with this country, and things worked out. And it made me a true believer. It really did. And also becoming friends with Shaun made me realize that, the internet ain't real life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
yeah, exactly.
Well, it shows you that not every single Democrat or every single person who votes Democrat is one of those far left lunatics.
Yep. And more times than not, the Democrats that I've been friends with over my life are more representative of Shaun than far left crazy. But because of COVID and social media and all of that, they weren't being represented. It was, if you believe in this one thing, you must believe in all these other things. And it was nice to get back to finding somebody who you could agree to disagree with on a few things, but agree with so much more than you disagree with. And
somebody was talking to me about Shaun that knows Shaun the other day, and I thought it was the biggest compliment, because while they were saying they don't agree with him on all of the issues, they feel like he has such a bleeding heart for people, and that's why he cares about immigrants, and that's why he cares about healthcare for all. He just cares about people, and I think that that's a huge compliment. That's who he is. He's just a caring person.
Yeah. Yep. Shaun, we're talking good about you, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I try to explain to him though that we can't. Somebody has to pay for these things.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. All right, guys, I got to get to bed.
Yeah, it's in that time.
Thank you, everybody. We are downloading the audio version of this, and I'm throwing it up on my podcast, That Clay Edwards Show. So if anybody misses it and just wants to listen to the audio version, it's there. I believe Shaun and Lindsey are going to possibly start doing that as well.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that they won't do that. They know how to do it. And I'll be back on the radio tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And they'll be on the radio on WYAB from noon to 1. And then we'll be back here tomorrow night. As close to 8 o'clock as possible.
Yeah, that's the plan.
8-ish.
8-ish. It'll be 8-ish.
We keep saying this is only going to be 45 minutes to an hour, and here we are, 2 hours to the second. And we're 30 seconds away from 15 seconds away from being 2 hours to the second.
Y'all like, share, tell your friends, do all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and we'll see y'all back here tomorrow evening. Peace.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.